Welcome to you all, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming. We'll get started soon. We'll just give it 2 or 3 minutes for some more people to arrive, find the right page, etc. So this is coming to you live, unless you're watching the recording later, of course. But otherwise, it is essentially like a webinar. We're just running through the website as we like to centralize and consolidate things, generally speaking. But the point I'm just trying to make there is that just like a webinar, it is interactive. You can ask questions just like in a regular webinar. Just use the little chat box in the bottom right, and that will come through to me at least during the session. And if you're just joining us, if you're just checking in, we're going to get started in probably 2 minutes with any luck. Just had someone from the United States join us. Welcome. Okay, so let's get going. Bear with me a moment, please. Just a moment. If you've just joined us, welcome. Starting in 20 seconds, give or take. Right, welcome. Right, so there's quite a bit to cover. Some of this is structured and some of it's going to be somewhat freeform. We'll talk about some general concepts and broader concepts, a lot of specifics. We'll try to put some theory into practice. We'll talk a little bit about the markets. And with any luck, I won't go too far over schedule. Just some forewarning and disclaimers and all the rest there. I do have a little bit of a habit of going over schedule. We are scheduled for some 45 minutes or so to hopefully allow for my rantings and ravings, but with any luck, we'll try to keep it to 30 minutes or so. If you do have to run, the session will be recorded, or is recorded, I should say, and in fact. As we'll talk about during the session here, one of the things we've done with this whole AI paradigm shift and this whole revolution, so to speak, is integrates artificial intelligence to the extent where it can actually understand effectively and relay video recordings back to you. So whether you make it through this entire session, if you do want to review the recording, you can actually chat, so to speak, directly with the video when you see the recording on the page, which is typically available the next day. anyway, we'll talk about this. But the broader concept here is this whole thing called trading like a business, or treat trading and investing like a business as such. It's one of these wonderful marketing terms that people like to throw around to make themselves sound fancy and clever. But in a lot of cases, it's not anything that's properly quantified or defined, or God forbid, actually structured and implemented. And this is one of the things we want to talk about as one of the challenges that's been around in the industry for a long time, and also talk about how what the solutions are, or at least some major progress towards a real solution, at least as we can see it and implemented at this particular point in time. So the AI enhanced home hedge fund, which has actually been renamed to the AI enhanced wealth fund, which you'll see on the website, the AI enhanced home wealth fund, is the broader concept that we're discussing today. And the reason we try to convey this concept is because everybody really is, whether they realize it or not, a type of home wealth fund manager. So if you're an individual investor, you are investing, of course, for your long-term wealth creation, retirement aims, and so forth. Pretty straightforward. If you are a trader, a self-directed trader, then you are, instead of investing in someone else's model or system or approach or business, which is what you're doing when you're buying shares, for example, you're actually just investing in your own approach. You're investing in your own system or your own model, so to speak. Now, very few people fall into a single category. Most people are diversified or managing multiple approaches simultaneously, and that's where the concept of home wealth fund management comes in. And so if you have this properly structured and have this properly organized, and are using the right tools, and understand the things you're invested in, and understand how to calculate your risk, and at least some concept of probabilities and so forth, then it is what you might consider a properly structured home wealth fund type business. Again, these are just sort of loose terms to try to get the concept across. Now, most people don't do that, however. Most people don't have this properly structured, and it's not their fault as such. People are busy, and most people don't come from a finance professional, a finance background, or finance specific background. And so instead, what they do is they end up defaulting to simply relying upon the financial services industry for this. Now, there's nothing wrong with this per se, nothing wrong with this inherently, until, of course, the failings occur within the markets themselves, or if you're perhaps overly reliant upon overly generic advice. We've all heard the news in relatively recent times about the fact that most financial advisors are essentially just salespeople selling off-the-shelf products that are wholesale delivered to them via the banks. You all know the situation, and that's the quote unquote legitimate side of the industry. When you get into the other end of the scale, it's actually far worse, because you get into all kinds of well, I won't put too fine a point on it, but you get into all kinds of crazy derivatives tradings, crypto scams, everything. You know what you know what it is. If you've been on social media or been on the internet for more than 5 minutes, you know what how much of a minefield it can really be. So the industry itself is a challenge, and in many ways, it is the overlooked challenge. Everybody knows that the financial markets, or finance itself, is complex. Everybody knows that the industry is complex, but it's this real stumbling block there that too many people have to sort of overcome before they even get to the real complexities of analyzing markets, evaluating opportunities, calculating risk, looking at proper percentage-based allocation, and avoiding over-concentration, and all of these things, and considering how these things can change over time in a changing macro or global market landscape, which of course, not just currently, but for a number of years now has been, despite the bull market, has been very unusual, very anomalous. And excuse me, and so we take a shift here because technology, as oft repeated as it is, and as corny as it may sound, technology really is the game changer. Technology changes the world. It's always been that way throughout history. It's not a recent phenomenon as such. It's just that right now we have something that is truly revolutionary and truly fundamentally game changing in this thing called artificial intelligence, because very few things in terms of human activity and human engagement and human goals and aims and interactions are more fundamental than intelligence itself. And we are now, whether you call them robots or chatbots or large language models, or whether you're using ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or any of the other countless ones, we do now have something that, at least in a practical and effective sense, does constitute a form of intelligence other than human intelligence. And the qualifier is simply communication. So obviously communication is one of the most fundamental things to human intelligence, and we now have things other than humans that really can think and communicate and relay information back to us in the same way that we do with each other. So I try to stress this because I want to sort of set the stage for rethinking things in a much deeper. We won't avoid. Well, I'll do my best to avoid getting too sanctimonious and philosophical, but um, it really is a paradigm shift. It cannot be overstated. The whole quote unquote revolution that's taking place at the moment is for good reason. That doesn't mean that the equity prices that we see in the artificial intelligence or technology space more broadly, the stock prices and those kinds of evaluations are justified. That's another question. But it is much more of a fundamental type revolution that is taking place, and I encourage everybody, whether they join as an Investor Unity or IU member or not, I encourage everybody to not miss out on something that can help them in so many ways. At the very least, it can help you gain a far greater degree of independence and self-sufficiency from the financial services industry itself. So those of you that have known me for some time, I mean, some of the, I recognise some of the names on the list there from years ago, 10 years ago or more. You know quite well that I've never been the type to jump onto a hype or a fad just for the sake of it. But this is actually very much a game changer, and we'll talk about some of the reasons as we go through, if you can tolerate it, that is. So in this session, we'll talk about Investor Unity, past and future. We'll talk about AI, misconception and opportunities, the whole concept of trading and investing like a business, the deep process. Now, that's me there, Adam Lavaz, licensed in 2006, launched IU in 2012, still remain a small, relatively, well, small, very specialist firm, in fact. We're not beholden to any particular strategy, market type, broker, or any other firms. Our sole interest is aligned with and focused upon, that is, the long-term success of our clients. So what does that mean? Well, it just gets back to this concept of universality and market agnosticism. We don't want to be limited to a particular approach, a particular market, a particular geography as such. If something makes sense at an opportunity evaluation level, which essentially means that it can be verified as legitimate and it makes sense from a risk, reward, and crucially probability perspective, then that can be considered a qualified opportunity. Now, that doesn't mean it's necessarily a qualified opportunity or an opportunity that's should be taken up by any every single individual investor because you have your own existing capital allocation considerations and capital availability considerations and so forth. But that is the approach. And so the tagline as such is that rather than looking for opportunities where we want them to be, we try to look for opportunities where they actually are and evaluate and verify them from there. And so this is shaped and augmented in many ways over the years. Just a moment, please. Sorry, shaped and augmented in many ways over the years. I originally started out on a more of a consultation and education basis. The initial stages of the business were focused upon capital raising for externally managed services. Internally managed diversified algorithmic trading was the next phase that was the focus for several years. The last couple of years has been relatively quiet, so to speak, or actually very quiet on the algorithmic trading front. The services provided, or at least put forth to members or clients, has been semi or fully automated equities based systems. When I say equities based, very much equities markets centric, US equities markets centric, captured via futures trading or direct equities trading with some ETFs. And now we move into what I truly do consider to be the AI paradigm shift, and truly a paradigm shift it is. So now, services more broadly, and not just within Investor Unity, but within the broader financial markets landscape, come under two categories. And we can very broadly categorize them under this notion of DIY, or DFY first, that is, which is done for you, versus DIY, which is do it yourself, as everybody knows. Now, there is actually a third category technically, which is DSY, do some yourself, but technically everybody is, even if you're DIY, you are usually at least a little bit D, um, DIY, or conversely, even if you are DIY, you're still a little bit DSY. So we effectively just combine them now into the two, DSY and DIY, under the single category, just for simplicity's sake. So what are these products and services cover? So DFY, done for you, is managed funds, ETFs. ETFs also can include ETNs, LICs, other such variations, managed discretionary accounts, and managed automated trading strategies. Managed and automated trading strategies could be whether a professional is managing it for you or not. or whether it's simply a digital system or a computer system that's effectively trading on your behalf on a VPS or whatever the case may be. So DFY just means done for you, meaning that it doesn't require input from you on an individual trade level basis. The trades occur, the risk management occurs, the capital allocation occurs, and you at the very least would expect some degree of transparency. And again, this is speaking more broadly about the industry. These are not necessarily Investor Unity products or approaches or specifics, but it does vary quite a bit in terms of transparency. For example, managed funds are far less transparent than managed or automated trading strategies, and similarly with ETFs. So DIY services would include education, signal slash alerts, live analysis, market review sessions, and so forth, and of course tools. And tools can come in various forms, anything from a calculator to portfolio optimization, spreadsheet, or specific software for that, charting tools, market analysis tools, whatever the case may be. Even something as more broadly or a little bit more niche, in fact, as a VPS, a virtual private trading server, virtual private server. Sorry. So broad categories there just to help you distinguish between the two types of services there. And the approach now with Investor Unity in terms of what we're attempting to not necessarily provide ourselves directly, but at least provide you access to, bring to your attention, put onto your radar, and through proper guidance and analysis, help you extract value from, fall into one of these two categories there. But it is now a much more universal approach than it has been in the past. And this immediately may raise the question of how these things are actually managed. How do you stay on top of all these various things? Well, the reality is that on an internal basis, it comes down to artificial intelligence and the efficiencies that it offers. And that exact same benefit is what we're attempting to try to pass on to you through the specialized artificial intelligence that we are providing to you. So when you consider it from this perspective, and when you no longer see broader diversification and quote unquote stepping outside of your comfort zone or your wheelhouse as a barrier, you can instead view everything as at least a potential opportunity. And I say the word potential opportunity quite specifically because the word opportunity, in fact, has a much more specialized definition in a financial markets context, which is something that you should be properly grasping and going through the process of evaluating. So that is what we are trying to do. That is the broader concept. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, artificial intelligence is the game changer, and it cannot be overstated. We have situations now where just about every financial services firm, or at least major financial service firm, and not just major financial services firm, but farmers, factory owners, and countless other types of businesses are now going through the process. They're running this race as such to try to integrate artificial intelligence into their business processes, simply because the efficiency gains are so great. And efficiency shouldn't be seen purely as a cost reduction measure. It is, of course, a cost reduction measure, but what you do with that saving is the real question. because in many cases, the efficiency gain is better expressed or better realized as opportunity capture. So that works in multiple ways, and I make these business analogies. I draw these business parallels, or point these business aspects out quite intentionally, not just because, well, in fact, very much because of the whole home wealth fund concept, but also because this is where it makes the most just sort of purely logical sense, objectively logical sense. It's not just about cost reduction, but if you can make your processes more efficient, you now have more time, energy, mental focus that you can either just pocket and just sort of live an easier life, or you can actually put these efficiency gains to work and use that to further increase your bottom line gains. So reducing your running costs and the resources required to run your business, whether you're a farmer or a trader or an investor, whatever the case may be, is fantastic. That's an absolute gain and a no-brainer as such. But then the real gain can actually come from how you reinvest that saving, not just in capital, not just financially, but how you reinvest that time and energy and mental focus through those efficiency gains. So don't make the mistake of assuming that efficiency is just all about cost reduction. Yes, it is, but it doesn't have to be only that. It actually comes down to more of a lifestyle choice as to whether or not you wish to sit back and live a little bit of an easier life now that you have artificial intelligence systems doing much of the drudgery for you, or the repetitive or mundane work, and all the complexity, the complex and technologically advanced stuff that you were never going to do anyway, or whether you actually, as I say, choose to put your foot on the gas a little bit and try to take advantage of those efficiency and ultimately effectiveness gains. So that's what it comes down to. Now, this is what's going on in the financial world to a very large degree. It starts at the highest level, of course, because they are the ones that are the most forward-thinking. They're the ones that are targeted, of course, by the technology companies and offered fantastic integration technologies, and of course because they have the internal expertise and capital and existing technological infrastructure. However, it has now slowly, as it always is, started to filter down into the smaller firms. So, by the way, we've been well and truly ahead of the game. Oh, well, look, I've been deep into this for ever since ChatGPT 3.5 came out at the end of 2003, I think it was, or 2002. 2003. I'll have to double check that one, how the years go by. But this artificial intelligence now has just gone from this gimmick to now being properly accepted and properly established. And now everybody's basically racing to try to implement this. The challenge, of course, or the trouble, of course, which is where people miss out constantly and repeatedly, is that the smaller financial firms will pocket the internal efficiency gains for themselves, and they will pass very little of that onto the clients. That's just the way it always is. So you go effectively from something that used to take 3 days worth of work, or let's just say a full day's worth of work, to 10 minutes worth of work, and it's just an absolutely incredible incredible gain. But we're still not seeing that actually passed on in terms of service benefits to the general public. Now we want to change that, but of course it does require some sort of cooperation because you do have to do something yourself, and you can't be one of these people that sort of just resists something for the sake of resisting technology. And of course, the worst excuse of all is just saying you're too busy to get around to it. Of course, we're all human and we do these things. It's not an attack, or I hope it's not at least not too much of an unfair criticism. But it is the reality of the situation. People actually are, absurd as it is and ironic as it is, unfortunate as it is. People constantly say they are too busy to save time, too busy to actually get where they want to go at a better, more efficient, and more, quite frankly, a more enjoyable uh, rate. So, what we'll do there at this point is I'll just jump across and talk about some of the actual implementations of this. So, this is the IU homepage, as you may well know. Just a moment, please. So, in fact, what I'll do is I'll talk about the deep process a little bit before we go much further, just to understand that, just so you understand that. Okay, so yeah, don't let the acronyms confuse you, or when we start talking about multi-stage processes and so forth, it doesn't need to be confusing at all. Many things in life are a multi-stage decision-making process. At a very fundamental level, trading and investing is a structured decision-making process, and as almost silly as it may sound, if you can improve your decision-making, you can actually improve your results. Amazing as that is, but it's more. It is actually more technical and nuanced than that. But as a concept, the multi-stage decision making process is actually very, very simple. So we call it deep just because that's a simple and memorable acronym. But it's just discover, educate, evaluate, and perform. Perform means to put into place or to implement. And all it really means is that you initially find out about something, you learn a little bit about it, you learn more about it to take it more seriously and do your due diligence, etc. And then you put it into practice with monitoring processes and so forth. So that's a very simple top level, surface level overview there intentionally. And it doesn't, but as a concept, as I'm trying to convey to you, it doesn't have to be any more complex than the way that you would choose to go out to dinner at a new restaurant. First of all, the restaurant comes onto your radar. So it's recommended to you by someone, or you see an advertisement or something like that, and it seems legitimate. So you go and do a little bit of research, and you find out more about it to make sure that it's not too far away, and it serves some sort of cuisine that you're interested in, and so on. It fits into how much you want to spend for your dinner, whatever the case may be. You then progress to the evaluate stage of doing a little bit of due diligence to see to make sure they're not they're a reputable provider, and your wife is a vegan, so you want to make sure there's something on the menu for her. You might go and check the reviews on Facebook or whatever it is to see that they're not absolutely terrible, and then you perform. You actually go and enjoy the dinner. So everything in many things in life just follow this multi-stage decision making process. It doesn't need to be um, difficult as a concept, but just in terms of properly structuring this and defining this as a financial markets process, is takes that initial investment into the organisation of it and documenting of it. They say talk about creating a trading plan and managing a journal and all the rest. Well, this is all part of that process, but artificial intelligence is there to help you properly stay organised, to properly facilitate that evaluation process or that multi-stage process, to help you along the way, to answer all the questions that you either don't understand or find points in your evaluation process that you may have missed, find gaps in your logic, point out cognitive blind spots and other pitfalls from psychological biases that the professionals constantly talk about. It can all now be done at a much more professional level and a much more of an effective level if you have properly configured and properly focused, let's say, artificial intelligence systems. And so the D process there, just to recap there, firstly, you do discover, identify potential candidates from the market noise. You might have some sort of scanning system. You might have newsletters that you follow. You might have websites that you tend to watch, or you might have your favorite commentators on YouTube or other social media, for example, or you might get some of these initial discovery stage of opportunities or discover stage opportunities from Investor Unity. You don't necessarily need to employ our AI-enhanced processes or systems exclusively to potential opportunities that we provide to you. You might come up with these ideas yourself or partially from other sources. It doesn't matter. Now, educate. Go through the process of deepening your understanding and verifying the knowledge, just essentially finding out what category or um, uh, context matters for that particular potential opportunity. And the key point of this educate stage is, in fact, to determine which method of evaluation should be applied to that particular opportunity. So what that means is that, again, touching on the earlier points of the session here, anything that advances your financial well-being as such and progresses you towards your financial goals can be considered an opportunity if it's, of course, properly verified and evaluated. And so, if we are taking this more open and agnostic and much more fundamental logic-based approach of probabilistic evaluation, effectively, we'll talk about that at some point. Then we can go through the process of evaluating opportunities that may fall outside our typical area of knowledge, again through artificial intelligence assistance. And it's at this stage, this educate stage, or the aim of the educate stage, once it's completed, is so you know which evaluation process can be applied to the opportunity at hand. So you might evaluate, or of course you would evaluate an algorithmic trading strategy in a different manner to the way in which you would evaluate investing in a mining company or a tech startup, or again, whatever the case may be. The complexity can vary across opportunities and opportunity types. And so this education stage is there to, in some sense, there to help you categorize it. And once you have it categorized, you'll have a clear, you'll be able to make a clear decision on what the next stage is, more specifically, which method of evaluation would be applied to that particular opportunity or potential opportunity, I should keep saying. Now, again, if this sounds complicated, there are two things that need to be understood. the artificial intelligence properly configured and set up will help you throughout this structure, even if you don't want to talk to me or talk to a human, God forbid. we um, it's the AI is there for you 24/7. That's the real benefit, and in many ways, it is. Well, I can tell you in an absolute sense that it is actually more knowledgeable than me. Certainly, in terms of the breadth of knowledge, and it will help you through this process in a step by step fashion. And so at the end of that educate stage, for example, it would be able to determine for you the method of evaluation according to the knowledge that we've fed into it and its own real world knowledge, etc., how to evaluate that particular opportunity at hand. And so it's that at that point you um, approach the goal of trying to actually quantify the value of that particular opportunity. And technically speaking, that is actually the point at which something can technically be considered an opportunity. So the word opportunity is thrown around very loosely. Of course, there are differences between the way or how an opportunity is defined in just casual everyday speak, and what it actually means when you're talking shop or you're truly talking about in a financial markets context. Um, so an opportunity for it to actually meet that criteria has to have uh, an expected value, what's known as an expected value, probabilistically determined based upon risk, potential reward, and probability of success, probability of favorable outcome. There are more complexities around multi-scenario analysis and so forth, but we don't need to get into that at this point. I don't want to overcomplicate things. The artificial intelligence will help you step through this process on an individual opportunity basis, and it's something that you will be taught in the Home Wealth Fund, the AI Enhanced Home Wealth Fund ongoing course. So at that point, the goal of this stage here really is to reach that quantified expected value, and at this point, you can go to the point of perform, the final stage, perform, which just means that you implement the opportunity, you buy or you sell if you're taking a short position or whatever the case may be. You invest in the managed fund or the ETF or the algorithmic trading strategy, whatever the case may be. And then importantly, you put in place post-entry monitoring and management processes. So what that means is that you understand, you have a clear understanding of why you performed this particular trade or investment or whatever the case may be, and you therefore have a clear criteria by which you can monitor it and evaluate it post entry to ensure that nothing has fundamentally changed too much or something has invalidated your initial investment thesis. Now, if that sounds complex, well, that actually is quite complex. Again, the artificial intelligence won't just help you do this initially, devise it, but it will. It can. You have to set this up, or in fact, we set it up for you. Uh, but it monitor the situation for you and alert you if things are going wrong or if things have changed to any overly meaningful degree. Okay, so how does it actually work? Well, I've tried to make it clear uh, the actual paradigm shift that we're talking about here. But I will, at this point, jump across to the website to put a little bit of theory into practice for you. Just a moment. Okay, so over the past year or so, a lot has been a lot of work has been done into to the website. Um, some sort of surface level stuff, but a huge amount on the back end, um, all to accommodate and try to capture these kinds of new benefits that we can actually now make available to clients. So we've always been there to talk to clients on an individual basis. And clients have always been able to email me directly, talk to me directly. But a lot of clients don't. They simply for the reasons that they think I'm too busy. Some people even think that they have to pay me an hourly fee, like they do with other advisors or types of consultants. Other people just don't know what questions to ask, and sometimes, of course, it's just a matter of timing and convenience and availability, etc. But the benefit, of course, of having artificial intelligence is that it's always there. It's always available to you 24/7. So even at a very basic level with certain tools and articles and so forth, you have the ability here to chat directly with a very specialized artificial intelligence that is not the same as your free co-pilots and Geminis and so forth. It's a premium level. It's a top tier model, the ones you usually have to pay for. In fact, we have various models integrated, and like human staff or like human team members, the responsibility is delegated to them according to the complexity of the requirement. Okay, generally speaking, the balance is between speed and intelligence. So the way these artificial intelligence models work is that if the requirement is more complex, it'll actually go through a deeper reasoning or thinking process, and that can take time. It's not always convenient for simpler chat type stuff, and so that's why we've integrated different models for different tasks and purposes as best we can. But in any case, just at a very very basic level, you can take the sort of information that you would normally have to gloss over or not understand the jargon of or not be 100% certain about or just want some clarity about. And what you would normally do, not just in Investor Unity's case, but in any financial markets case, is you would write that down and maybe you'd speak to the person the next day, or maybe you would send them an email and wait a day or two to get a reply. Maybe you would go around Googling it and come across all kinds of horrible nonsense that scatters the internet. Even legitimate websites with legitimate information have all these horrible ads that aren't just horrible in their own sense and an eyesore, but they lead you to investing or some brochure download for some garbage with no thought to whether or not it's actually a legitimate investment or not. It's just if you're willing to pay to be on their website, then they'll put you on their website. It's all a great big mess. And you don't have to do any of that nonsense. You just, if you have some thoughts, have some questions, I mean, you can still talk to a human if you want. We're still here, but sorry. Um, we're still here with the live chat, and you can still call me and email me, etc. but you can get instant intelligent answers from this AI service here that can fully read and comprehend this the information that you see on the page. These are on just about every page, mind you, and it can also access your profile details. So you can. This is the when you go to your profile page, you just set a little bit of information about what it is you're trying to achieve, things you've done in the past, so on and so on. And the artificial intelligence will actually take that into consideration when you ask it a question and you want an answer. So it can actually help you properly contextualize these things according to not just what you're trying to achieve now, but what you've done in the past, your experience level, how good you are with the jargons and technologies, etc., etc. It's just a huge step forward, and it just should not be viewed as just another chatbot. There are a lot of these. I mean, what you see across the internet now are chatbots like this that have artificial intelligence in the back, and usually they're not much better than a search engine or something that would answer very, very basic questions for you. This is much more capable. It can discuss advanced concepts. It can take advanced concepts and it can relay them to you in ways that you understand. And it will work through them with you as a step-by-step process. Now, you'll see in various places across the site this button here, which says switch to guided AI mode. The easiest place to access it. In fact, you can go directly to IU.au, just remove the .com, IU.au, and it will take you directly to this member's homepage, but in guided AI mode, which looks like this. Now, the only real difference here is that it opens this chat panel on the left-hand side. But this is not just a chat panel, ladies and gentlemen. This can do much more. And this is where the whole unofficial tagline of Beyond Words comes into effect, because this chatbot can actually do things for you, can actually take action for you. So, for example, simple example, my writing has become terrible now in the AI era. Typing, that is. So I can do things for you like bringing up a charts or bringing up any other particular content that you're interested in. A little bit slow today. I'm not sure what's happening here. There we are. It's a bit slower than usual there. Usually it takes about half the time. So basic things like helping you navigate the site, but uh, quite a bit more than that. If we look at opportunities, for example, And so what it's just done there for you is it's taken you back to the members homepage, but it's, as you can see here, it's filtered the page according to opportunities, just to show you the opportunities only. And so much of this is just um, a navigation benefit and just helping you find things much more easily. Um, but that is a big benefit in and of itself. People do get lost, no matter how much time we spend in trying to make the site simple and clear and easily searchable and so on and so forth. People are tired. People have been working all day. People don't want to click around and look through menus. Um, it's never sort of simple or clear enough if you want to actually provide people with a whole range of different or a whole variety of information and guidance and tools and benefits and so forth. So there's no real way to strike that correct balance between making it easy to navigate and just not having much stuff on your site, having not many benefits available to you. If you're going to be providing a whole range of different benefits and tools and so forth to your clients, then almost by definition, your website is going to become much more complex. So having an artificial intelligence there that can just navigate and find things for you is in and of itself a big benefit, especially when you're going through the process of trying to evaluate trading opportunities, look at the markets, and so forth. This is where you want to be committing your mental energy. You want to be committing your mental energy, delegating your mental energy to the opportunity at hand, and your trading and investment process is not trying to necessarily navigate technology. And so an opportunity, as I mentioned to you, can come in different forms, and they are structured into different stages, as I mentioned to you. So for example, this is a relatively new tool addition, by the way. So those of you in from a task management, project management background will understand what a Kanban is. I won't talk too much shop on this or too much jargon, but Kanban is actually just a way in which you can structure your tasks or items, more specifically, into different categories. So this is what we see here: the discover, educate, evaluate, and perform stage. And you have access to this. You have your own, or you can have your own um, version of this for your own particular opportunities. And so what that means is that as you go through your own investment review and evaluation process, you can simply click and drag these from one stage to the other. Now, it doesn't work here because I'm actually logged in as a client, but you would just click this and drag it to the educate phase. You would then go through your analysis process and so forth, and if it then progresses to the evaluate stage, you just click and drag it to the evaluate stage. Absolutely very, very, very simple. And when you see these deep and other opportunities type pages, you'll see that there's a different chatbot on the page. Now, this chatbot on the page here, this artificial intelligence, actually connects to a much more advanced model, or fairly significantly more advanced model in the background. And so for the beginners or the intermediates or those that tend to take a fairly simple approach, you may not be able to immediately tell the difference, especially when there's jargon involved in so forth. But this model that you see here on these deep pages are quite a bit more advanced, and they are chosen as such so that they can give you more accurate and more reliable guidance and information, and guidance and information. Now, so from here, for example, you would just click into that opportunity, like so. And this is the same on the members homepage, mind you. The filtered view that we see here. So this is just a filter looking at general, so things by categories as such. Very, very easy, simple concept. This is the AI Enhanced Home Wealth Fund course that I mentioned earlier. And so here you see the individual opportunities structured, as well as tools that you can use to keep a broader overview of the opportunities at hand, whether they're yours or once you have the custom set up as a member, whether they're ours or once you have the custom set up as a member, you can have your own custom versions to manage it, monitor and manage and get artificial intelligence guidance from external sources or your own opportunities as well. So different formats for this, like so. Going all according to category and so forth. Searchable if you're into searching. Just like so. And so, for example, and so the opportunity stages matter. They are crucial, as we've discussed. So you want to and for those of you that may think this is complex, having a multi-stage process. Well, it's not. The actual individual level analysis processes and evaluation processes specific to the opportunity type and evaluation processes themselves can be very complex by nature. Much of that is already done for you, and much of it is um, handled once again or assisted with by the artificial intelligence. Your guides here, your chat guides. Um, but the as a structure, as a concept, it's not only really quite simple, but I have to say to you that it is really absolutely quite necessary. Absolutely necessary, really. This structure type approach is what you would see if you go into any half reasonable investment fund or hedge fund or whatever the case may be. The challenge, of course, for the individual investor is just actually implementing themselves, because with a hedge fund, they usually have different staff, different specialists for each of the opportunity types, which, of course, is something that you don't necessarily have the ability to do. Of course, most people can't do um, as private home-based traders and investors. This is where the sentients come in, as we call them, which are part of which are a key aspect of the membership process. And so what this actually means, and very much in line with the home wealth fund concept, is that rather than you trying to fulfill all roles of being the admin person, the researcher, the data gatherer, the fundamental analysis, the quantitative analysis, the risk management person, the psychologist, and so on and so forth. What you actually do is focus on the things that you want to do because you enjoy them or you want to get good at them, perhaps, or perhaps you already are good at them and that's why you enjoy them. And you put more focus on thinking like the CEO or the general manager or chairman of the board, whatever you want to call it, the head of the wealth fund, and you therefore delegate and rely upon staff or key staff members to evaluate things according to the situation and according to their individual expertise. And so that's why we actually have these different AI specialist personas here, which means that you don't only go through a four-step process, or a four-stage process, I should say, of from initial discovery to implementation, but throughout these stages, you don't just have your general and overview type guidance here, which is from this AI here, which is this one here, which you can sort of think of this as your point of contact or your senior account manager, if you wish. But at the different stages through the discovery and probably most importantly, the evaluation process, you can have opportunities evaluated from different perspectives. And that can of course change the expected value, the probabilistic value of the opportunity at hand, at least as you're best able to determine. So this as well, of course, is common in hedge fund type operations or investment fund type operations. They will they might have well again we'll use the CEO and chairman of the board concept. Well, let's say the CEO or CIO, Chief Investment Officer, might have a particular part of their portfolio allocated, the investment funds, the firm's total funds under management, I mean to say, allocated exclusively to a particular approach or desk or team, but there also might be cases where they need to have opposing opinions on a particular opportunity, or perhaps even a macro perspective, a broader picture, global perspective. And so that is when they would actually engage and sometimes have them debate as such to perform contra perspectives, contrapoints, opportunities from different perspectives. And so, for example, if one particular expert rates something with a 90% conviction rate, for example, and another expert, equally respected but taking a different approach, evaluates something to an 80% conviction level, well, then the intelligent decision is to effectively trust both of their perspectives and treat it as an 85% level conviction, split the difference as such. And so this is just one of the processes or tools that you can engage going through the multi-stage process. And so all of this is really just intended to help you operate at a much more effective level and truly treat your home wealth fund as a business rather than just, as it's been for too long, one of these throwaway marketing type terms, treat trading and investing like a business. Well, what does it actually mean? Most of the time for most people, it doesn't mean much beyond don't gamble and do take it seriously. Well, fantastic, but what does it actually mean in practice? Practice is about having the processes in place. Processes are what define a business. And when you have multiple processes, because you have multiple perspectives and multiple opportunities and multiple opportunity categories, that's where you actually will benefit from having multiple personnel. And now, due to advances in artificial intelligence, of course, you as a home-based trader investor can actually have multiple personnel. And I say that as funny as it may sound, treating digital beings as personnel, I can absolutely tell you that they are very, very effective. They're very, very smart, uh, and I'm getting replaced. We are all getting replaced. It's only a matter of time, and I don't mind it because it is ultimately better for the client. It's better for the industry. It's an amazing thing. These ones that you see up here, as you can sort of see, they're based upon archetypes or key personas, all-time greats, experts, following these sort of tried and true approaches that work to various degrees of effectiveness over different market periods and are more compatible with people's individual level thinking process and so forth. But that is kind of the point of having the broader selection there, so that you can just sort of pick and choose, or use none of them. It's completely up to you. But they are there, and it is extremely valuable, even as having like a sounding board to make sure that you're not convincing yourself that a particular investment or trade or strategy, whatever it is fantastic, just because, at least at a subconscious level, you're really just quite excited about it, maybe for good reason. So these are the sort of all-time greats, these sort of Hall of Famer archetypes that we're basing these on. They're typically sort of combinations of them, not um, any particular individual, but more about category and function. And then there are these other ones that are not guides as such, but more just like workers that will do things like check your account balance and place and modify trades, so on and so forth, or just sort of trawl the internet or go through databases for you to find particular information. They're more like junior staff. You might call them, but all very valuable on occasion, at least. So let's just talk a little bit more about the opportunities there, and how they work. Um, so not everything is ready to trade or ready to invest in, and that's kind of the point, because this is a discover stage, sort of more like a note that we put out um, a few days ago. So this is just a sort of an overview of different opportunities in sort of early stage, even pre-discover, you might say. And it's not something that we would implement necessarily directly for the clients, because it is sort of pre-discovery stage. But you, being armed with artificial intelligence, can take this information, which at this stage really is all it is. It's really just information, and you can actually turn that into opportunity. And so it sounds a bit corny when you say turn information into opportunity, but that really is what we're trying to assist people in doing, to a very large degree. You watch these long videos on YouTube. You listen to CNBC and Bloomberg and Reuters. You go to Yahoo Finance and you see God knows how many different financial metrics and banners and headlines and all the rest. How do you actually take that information and turn it into something useful? What do you actually do with that? The irony of, or in fact more so the absurdity, is that if you know what to do with that information already, you probably don't need it because you're already at the stage where you have a properly structured investment process or a combination of processes as a properly structured trading and investment business anyway. So what are we doing with all these websites and charts and all the rest? They don't actually assist you in progressing something from idea to opportunity or information to opportunity. Now, we can't always do that for you either, because despite all these fantastic efficiency gains, we still have limitations, of course. But what we can do now, much more effectively, is share these pre-stage opportunities with you, and so you can then consult with the artificial intelligence and take it and run with it, run your own verifications and evaluations and all the rest, and figure out whether this is something that you actually want to invest in or take a position and take a trade on, perhaps. Okay, so and this is actually a good example. Um, I put this one out here a few days ago. It seemed sort of interesting as a as a short selling opportunity. But being a little bit more conservative that we are on the implementation aspect, or in fact, implementing this for clients, we decided to be a little bit more patient. And in this case, at least, in this single individual case, it dropped by some 12 or 13%. So if you had taken this initial idea, well, that's more like 8%. Well, there you go. But if you had taken this initial idea and run it through your own evaluation process with artificial intelligence assistance, of course, taking anything here that doesn't make sense or doesn't help you define risk or reward or position sizing, or account risk percentage based position sizing, which is what you should be doing, rather than sitting around and waiting for us to do it, you can just ask the AI, what does this mean? How does this affect me? How could this fit into my portfolio if I'm only looking to risk 1% of my account and I put my stop loss here, etc., etc.? Artificial intelligence will just clarify it all for you because it can read the page and is very advanced. It's not a free ChatGPT. It's not a free Copilot type thing. It's smarter than me. It's smarter than anyone I know. It's game over. It's extremely helpful, and it's there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, of course. And that is just one of a number of opportunities here. So this is an example of a pre-discover sort of note or something that we put out for people. Or you might call it discover stage. I'll give you an example of a actual perform stage one. So not everything, it's also important to note that not everything starts, or not everything appears as discover or starts at stage one and then goes to stage two, stage three. Sometimes, depending upon the quality of the opportunity or how much work is, or how much ground, let's say, is already covered um, prior to it coming to me or being discovered by me, it might just skip straight to evaluate stage or even perform stage. Um, the stage that you see here, current stage perform, is the stage that you see here, like so. And you can even filter it like this to show only those at the perform stage, or only those at the discover stage, if you wish. You can also do that on the table that I showed you before. Now this is so even if it does come um, appear onto the site, and you receive the alert by email or SMS um, or email or SMS, depending upon. Oh, you get the SMSs if you opt in. You don't have to, of course, but email at the least. It'll pop into your radar, and even if it's this one, for example, jumped straight to the evaluate stage. So that was the original one. And the reason for this, now it still has all your information here, your basic information, your due diligence and so on. But the reason, to explain the logic here, the reason this jumped straight to the evaluate stage is that this is an ETF or a fund, a listed fund from Invesco, sorry. So it's already a major provider. It's already extremely well capitalized. It already has 20. Well, so let's look here. It already has many, many years of history behind it, several years at least. Um, so it doesn't, and Invesco is a major firm. So it doesn't really need a whole lot in terms of due diligence or basic fact gathering. That's all effectively public information, or it is public information because it's a publicly listed investment entity. And so this just went straight to the point of evaluating whether or not this is actually a valid opportunity at this particular point in time. Nonetheless, the information still is there if you wish to go through and get basic ideas. You see simple information like so. Sometimes you see some useful additional details. And so if you're doing this on a step-by-step basis, it's just step one, next, now to educate, more essential context, a little bit of background info and so forth. Evaluate. Evaluate's a little bit more complex, of course, because you actually want to try to quantify the opportunity at this point. And finally, we go to the perform stage, which gives you that post-entry monitoring management process. Now, this is relatively simple, by the way. We're just providing quite a bit of information there, even a little bit more information than necessary. You don't need to absorb and implement all of this, but it's very important to understand that this whole KISS type principle that you've been sold, or the retail and trading investment public has been sold for untold years now, is a lie. There is no ultra simplicity when it comes to trading and investing. It's people tell you to keep it simple when they're trying to sell you something, right? They're trying to prey upon um, your tendency to put things in the your tendency to avoid the too hard basket. Well, the too hard basket is full of opportunity. You must understand this. And the keep it simple, stupid, the KISS principle doesn't just breed that ineffectiveness, it also encourages reliance upon the financial services industry, which is not good for you, at least in the long term. Okay? Unless you really want to, of course, unless you're not really into really getting into these things. But the little twist that we put on it now is that instead of trying to keep it simple, which is just effectively an oversimplification trap, you don't want to oversimplify things. Is actually, instead of KISS, is to make it MISS, which is to make it simple. And so through artificial intelligence, you can now take these previously complex, overly complex, and more specifically, prohibitively complex concepts, and you can now turn them into actionable ideas and actionable information, things that can actually help you without you having to book an appointment with a specialist just to clarify the jargon that they used, or to go searching around the forums, or to go searching around Google just to try to make sure that you properly understand the concepts at play. And so this also means that we can provide you with opportunities and other benefits that prior or heretofore would have been too complex. We would avoid doing that because we don't want to overwhelm you. But now we can give you that information, and even if it's a little bit too complex or more complex than usual, even if there's a little bit more information than usual, it's now actually better to have a little bit too much and be a little bit too complex than to attempt to oversimplify, or even worse, to actually miss out. And so the solution now is to put things forward, even if they are a little bit more complex, with the proper surrounding context and information, and give you a tool that you can use to go ahead and actually simplify that to a level that you require. And of course, people have different stages. Many of our clients are very experienced traders or investors. Some of them have a technical background. Some of them have, many of them, in fact, have a financial background. Others do not. They've spent most of their lives working outside. It doesn't make it there's no real fundamental quality difference there as such. It's just many people's minds are attuned to the abstract and the technical, while others are more sort of attuned to the real and physical world, so to speak. Oh, now it doesn't. Now it's no longer a barrier. You can the information is presented and the opportunity is presented for what it is, um, with the surrounding information and context, much more of a complete picture, and then you can personalize it and take it through your own process that suits you as an individual much more specifically. So I hope that makes sense. But that's about it on the opportunity discovery stage. Now there is a lot more that we could cover, but I've already gone on far too longer than I anticipated at least. I did warn you at the start, and I tend to do this. Apologies for those of you that were waiting to get away. Um, but since we've already gone way over schedule, I might as well finish up on a couple of points. Now, the getting back to this whole idea of not just a chatbot, this one that you see on the left here, this guided AI mode here, is not just very advanced and useful, but now has additional tools built into it. So it has notifications now that it can read, um, like so. Now, what that means is that signals and information and market specific, or more importantly, market shifting type events, market influencing type events, get fed out as a notification and are now in the AI's mind as such as it speaks to you. So one of the limitations, and these other, the whole technology is fantastic, irrespective of where you get it from, realistically. But one of the things with your chat GPTs and your other ones is that they don't adapt. If you have a paid service, they can incorporate your personal circumstances and background context a little bit better, but they don't adapt to current market events unless you ask them to. which doesn't always work in a financial markets context because sometimes things are happening that you don't know about, and that's kind of the point. And so through having notifications here that don't just appear for you, but are also kept in the AI's mind, current mindset, frame of mind, um, means that it can be much more adaptable to current market situations. Okay, and you can just imagine that the different scenarios in which this could make a real difference, especially if there are major events that are shifting the markets in important or crucial ways. So the other thing here is this is just the general mode. So normal mode gives you a good balance, just a good balance between speed and efficiency. Sorry, speed and intelligence. It's very good for most things. The model is very smart. If you shift it to quick link mode, for example, it'll be a lot faster, but it's not going to chat to you or do much other than just give you a quick link, as the name suggests. So it's just there to sort of help you navigate the key areas of the site and find things quickly and get around quickly. It's not going to be your friend. It's not going to explain things to you. It's not going to do anything much more than give you a quick link. In fact, it won't do anything more beyond that. The other one is Deep. Now, Deep is the same model essentially that you see on the background on the Deep pages itself, connected to the bottom of the Deep pages itself. So that means that it's a much more intelligent, it's much more advanced model, especially compared to others, but it is slower. So it's just not always convenient to be using deep mode or deep thinking mode for sort of more general Q&A and whatnot. Now, focus mode is something different again. Now, I showed you before how you can set up your profile information so that the AI, in most areas of the site, will keep your details in mind, or your basic experience level and markets of focus and so forth in mind. But as you all know, there are differences, there are shifts and discrepancies, differences between what your background is, what you've done in the past, perhaps even what you're trying to achieve long term, and what you may be trying to achieve just at this particular moment. You might have $100,000 invested into a traditional equities portfolio, but you've taken $10,000 out to invest in perhaps higher risk, shorter term opportunities or some sort of trading strategy, for example. And so what you would do then is, rather than having the AI guide you as if you are only a long-term traditional investor, you would have it, for the time being, focus upon whatever it is that you're currently focused on, your current area of interest. Okay. So now it knows a little bit about your background, but now it also knows what you're trying to achieve throughout this particular session. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So you're not reprogramming the AI or anything like that, but you're just steering its influence. And ultimately, it's really just like this, just the same way as you would deal with a human. If you're going in to speak to a human consultant on any particular topic, you would tell them a little bit about your background, but you would also tell them, this is what I'm trying to achieve at this particular point in time. So it's a very, very useful thing and something that's fairly unique in a recent development. Now, an even more recent addition is this to-do list mode, which is really, really very, very useful, and it's a little bit difficult, in fact, to convey the benefits. But So it's not just a task list. It's not just, do this, do that, do that. You can actually use your to-do list as a way of structuring your decision-making process for the opportunity at hand. Now, you can type this out yourself if you wish, if you can type, unlike me. Right, consider gold. Okay, and then first thing on the list would be, look at gold. Sorry, that's not already done. And that is silver, not gold. So first look at gold in US dollars, spot price, major market, USD based. That's what everybody looks at, of course. And then you would perhaps consider AUD rate or rates. If you're the Australian, obviously, it's actually the XAU AUD rate, which determines your profitability, because you have to convert your profits or your losses back to Australian dollars, even if they are based in US dollars. So on and so forth. You might say consider macro factors, right? And then it might be calculates size, investment size, based on risk tolerance. Now, by the way, the artificial intelligence, so you would just save that. Okay, can you see now this one is actually active. And as you go through the process, you've just basically tick that off, check that off, to know that you've actually followed an intelligent and professional opportunity review process. Okay. Now the AI can do this for you as well. So you don't need to know what the factors are. You don't even need to know um, what the key points or key stages are. So you can go through and chat with the AI, and it's generally a good thing to. In fact, what you'd probably do is you would go through it. You go have a general chat in normal mode, and then you would perhaps switch over to deep mode for final review as such. But it would actually create the to-do list for you. Okay, so it won't check them off, because we want to leave that to you. We want you to make the final decision as to whether or not something is actually complete. But it will create the list for you before or after you've properly discussed what the process might be. And so that's saved there against your profile. You can come back later. These are ones that we had there from a couple of weeks ago. As you can see, you can reload your previous to-do lists, and they'll reload at the completion stage. It's all there for you. So these are just some of the ways in which you can use artificial intelligence when it's properly configured and properly structured, in conjunction with human input and human oversight and human support, in order to go from this general notion of treat trading and investing like a business to actually doing it properly and professionally and effectively. It does come down to having structured processes in place. It does come down to having the right tools and support and guidance. And the reality is, and I cannot stress this enough, it cannot be emphasized enough, as you can see right there, Um, AI is the game changer when it comes to these sort of things, and AI is what now levels the playing field, more so, much more so than any technology that's ever been invented. It's not even close. You now can take these things that were previously too complex and out of reach, and you can start implementing themselves if you have the right setup, of course. And yes, at least for now, you still do need some human guidance and input. We're here to help you. We're here to support you. That is, in fact, what the course is for, is to go through this process of properly familiarizing yourself with these concepts. These lessons are just worked through on a stage by stage basis. The lessons themselves, of course, like everything else, are accessible to the AI, so you can talk about the lesson with the AI to help it all make sense to you even more so. And the whole thing just fits together as a nice, well, broadly encompassing package. So that's it. If you do want to join us as a member, we do have that special offer, as you probably would have seen in the membership in the email there. Now, have a look at the. So most of these. So just in terms of the pricing, um, the AI can search the web for you and do other types of things, integrate with other systems, place trades for you, check your account balance. It can do a whole range of things. A whole range of things we haven't covered today, in fact. Um, another just nice little sort of convenience thing is that you have your chat history here, and you can just jump back to things that you've looked at in the past, and it's just a nice, easy record of your process. All right. Anyway, so the membership table here, as you can see, two memberships. So there's a free membership that covers this sort of basic education and a few articles and AI integrated video and so forth. That's free for everyone forever. No limits. But if you want to get a little bit more serious and try to get proper results from these things, then a premium membership is probably for you. Now, there are two premium memberships, in fact. There's premium and there's premium bespoke. They are both essentially the same, with the difference that the bespoke one comes with a lot more customization, a lot more personalization. Um, and as you know, if you've been around the industry for a bit, you you know that your financial advisors charge you $2,000 just to give you a financial plan. Your and $500 an hour for paperwork and that sort of thing. Yes, of course, there are many very good financial advisors. I'm not try to rip on them all. Um, much worse is the education space where God knows who is teaching you God knows what and charging you $3,000 to $5,000 for a course. Signal services, these quote unquote recommendation and research type services, all charge you about $100 a month. That's the typical cost is about $100 a month. Many times that's in US, so closer to 150, of course. And you get all of that included in a single membership. You get your education, your coaching, your analysis, your artificial intelligence integration. You'd be paying 30 to $40 per month purely for the higher quality artificial intelligence on a subscription as well. So the value is absolutely there. And as you probably saw in the email at the moment, is you can actually get the bespoke um, membership at premium prices and with the $500 setup fee waived, which is actually, in fact, a $1,000 setup fee waived because you're getting the bespoke membership and all of its full benefits there. So very, very, very good deal in and of itself. And when you compare all of the benefits that you get to what you typically get other elsewhere in the industry, assuming you even want to try to go around navigating the other areas of the industry, then it's the value is certainly there. But um, don't buy just because. Like everything that we encourage here in terms of trading and investment, decision-making processes, whether that's on an individual investment level basis or whether it's on in terms of a managed strategy or managed fund, you should go through a logic-based decision-making process, calculate the value, just do the numbers, avoid the hype, avoid all the sales and marketing nonsense, just do the numbers, just see if it actually makes sense. And this really, case in point, is just what's been missing from the industry for so long. People don't, people aren't, I should say that people aren't properly guided and provisioned or armed with the ability to make proper logic-based decisions. And so people just default to relying upon trust or good feelings and good vibes. It just doesn't have to be the case because, of course, as nice as these things are, sometimes people get burned, and you don't want to do that. Anyway, I'm carrying on a little bit too much here. Just do the numbers. You don't need to really, you know, be impulsive about it or anything like that. Think about the size of your portfolio. Think about whether or not you are going to get a benefit from this type of service, the many included aspects of the membership that is, and think about whether that and how much of a difference in percentage term that might make on your overall situation. And if that benefit is sufficiently greater than the cost of the membership, then you may have your answer right there for you. And so you can just go through the AI, by the way, just like everything else, can help you explain this, or it can even pre-fill the figures for you. But if you want to just pre-fill it with some conservative figures, just like that, all your conservative figures are pre-filled, and then you can go and calculate your ROI like so. So these graphs and all these other figures here are based upon all of these essential inputs here, and that'll give you a breakdown, at least a logic-based projection of the value proposition. That's really what it comes down to. Now, this exact same logic is what you would apply for a trading and investment decision, but I mentioned that already. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll leave you with it. We got keep an eye on the calendar. You can keep an eye on the events. That is, they're all on the members' homepage. We'll email them out to you also. There'll be a recording of this posted on the site. So when you go to the site, when you see this latest live one, and the beauty is, I'm just sort of in a habit of explaining these things to you. But the beauty is, you can just ask the AI to show you the latest live session or show you the latest recording or whatever it is. But it will actually be there. And what that means is that this recording that you see now will go into a trans. Well, I'll actually show you, in fact, because this actually is also a something of a useful benefit. Well, it is actually a very useful benefit. I shouldn't understate it like that. So we have so the AI can access videos, and what that means is that we post sometimes general overviews from other experts to share different perspectives and from their areas of focus. There is there is a lot of very good information out there on the internet. It's just you have to sift through the nonsense to find it. Um, and then even from that point, you still have to relate it and specify it and quantify it and turn it into something that's actually useful to you. But that really is the point of the artificial intelligence, ultimately, or in a very meaningful sense, at least. But in any case, we do share these videos from other respectable sources amongst the place. And so this will just give you a summary of the videos you can see here. But the nice thing is that the AI, which you can actually jump straight to by pressing this, can read the video. It has a record of the words spoken in the video, the transcript. Fancy word is transcript. Now, now what that means, of course, is that again, you don't necessarily need to sit and go through an hour's worth of conversation, which is the case in this case. But you get the little distillation there. But you can just ask it, what did the fellow say? The 33-minute mark, and it will read the transcript and it will explain it to you. And so it's a little bit of a transgression there. I didn't mean to add even more time to this presentation, but this presentation now, if you're sick of hearing me carry on, will also be presented in this same format for you to go through and ask your questions about and clarify and all of the rest. So this whole idea of education, consultation, learning, discovery, verification, validation, due diligence, all of these things, psychology, logic, risk management, contra-perspective considerations, and all these other types of things that are absolutely crucial when it comes to intelligent decision making in the financial markets world. Absolutely crucial to you, irrespective of where you're at in your life and which markets you want to focus on. All have been made so much easier now and so much more readily accessible through artificial intelligence. It is an absolute game changer. And I said at the start that I'm not the type of person that just follows fads and hypes for the sake of things. This is here to stay. It's not going away. It's only going to get better and better. And so I'll leave you with that. I'll also just emphasize at the end here that this is not a replacement for human communication, human support, human care. We're still here to talk to you. It just extends our capabilities. It extends our internal efficiencies and capabilities. And we're doing our best to pass these benefits on to you as a member to make you more effective as well. So thanks very much for coming along. Wish you successful trading and investing as always. And bye for now.